1st of October 2018, I left Germany for good. Welcome back to part 3 of this mini-series of Live Your Fucking Best Life Down Under. I have my beautiful boy here. Alright, do you want to say hi? Do you want to say hi to the gang? This part is all about 1 month of living my best life in Sydney once again. No big responsibilities, really just me doing life and living the Aussie dream again when I returned for that makeup workshop in 2018. Beginning of the year that was. Finally got to actually know and see and experience Bondi for the first time. Because all the time before I had rather been in the area my host family lives and in the city. This time I actually made a really good friend who still is my friend to the day. I love her so much because she is and has been such an inspiration in my life so far and always empowers me and motivates me to be my best self, and I just appreciate her for her entire being. She's amazing. I think the first week I met her, and she was actually the reason why I then downloaded Bumble, because she was like, there's so many hot guys on Bumble, you should definitely download it. And I did, because I thought to myself, like, you know what, like, I'm single, I can do whatever I want. I had never been on a dating app before, and I just wanted to see, you know, what it's like. Like, I was in Sydney, no one knew me, I could just do whatever I wanted. So I downloaded Bumble, and because I was a bit shy, you know, like having to message the guys first, I rather looked out for those who had put their Instagram handle so I could just start following them on Instagram instead. And guess what? I actually started following this one guy in particular who then reached out to me asking, who are you and when can I get you a drink? And I was like, oh, that's pretty forward, but I liked it. We did not arrange anything for another week, and in between I actually went out with friends, like my friend that I just told you about, and one of the guys she had met. And I was kind of like third wheeling. And we went out just for dancing and a couple of drinks, and I was actually like not in a good mood at all. I was already about to leave when a guy randomly approached me, and I didn't even like really look him in the eyes because like everything just happened so quickly. He just approached me, came up to me, he took my hand, twirled me around, and then he took off again. And I was like, what the? But since I was already on my way back home anyway, I was just like waving my friends goodbye and left. And the next morning, the guy I'd already been in contact on Instagram with reached out to me to ask, hey, have you been at this bar last night? And I was like, yeah, why? And he was like, I thought it was you. I trolled you around, do you remember? And I was like, no way that was you. Turned out it was him. So I kind of already had met him, and that's why it was so much easier for me to agree to a date. He wanted to meet me intentionally, so we did. Honestly, one of the best dates I've ever been on. Probably because everything was just so light and I felt so free, and I didn't really think far ahead. Like, I just wanted to have a good time, and I did. 2 weeks later, I had already done the makeup workshop, lived my best Bondi/Sydney life, and now it makes sense that I truly got to experience and know Bondi because that guy that I met was actually living there. Yeah, I was basically about to leave for Germany and then Cape Town, and a couple of days before I did, I actually asked him, hey, so what are we? And then all of a sudden, after 2 weeks of knowing this guy, I was in a relationship. Time is an illusion and so irrelevant when you're just flowing and living your best life and doing you. Everything just felt so aligned and right. So yeah, we ended up in a relationship and just wanted to see where this goes. And I then actually made the decision to come back. And not just come back for a visit, but move to Australia. So that was the time, beginning of 2018, where all of this crazy stuff happened in my life, where I decided to move to Australia for good. And I did. I made it all happen. So there was Cape Town in between, and me now being in a long distance relationship. And while I was in Cape Town, I actually decided to go back for another 6 weeks to be with my guy and see if we could actually, you know, work out and still like each other. We did. We had a great time. And after I returned home again, I was basically preparing everything. I mean, I had already given up my apartment, right? That had already been solved. So good, actually. I had moved in back with my dad and basically really just had to save up a lot of money. Yeah, kind of mentally prepare myself for this big move. I was working a lot for 5 months, did so many hair and makeup jobs, and yeah, was just again living my best life because I knew in October, like, all this will be over, you know, at least for until I go back to Germany again for a visit. And I just made the best of this time. I really soaked up every single moment I got to spend with my friends and family, and I was so present for the very first time of my life. I was so present because there was this label on it, this like forever label, you know, that made every single moment with my loved ones so precious. And it was great because I, for the first time in my life, got to see and realize that it was not so much about where I was in life and what I was doing, but about me being present, and that my presence actually is what creates happiness, true fulfillment and happiness. I was so fulfilled and happy at the time. But yeah, I was kind of like, you know, juggling everything, work, and putting aside all the money that I wanted to save. So I basically made a lot of sacrifices from the moment I decided that I was gonna move to Australia until I actually did, because not only did I give up on my apartment, I had to like sell basically everything that was only like weighing me down. When I was in Cape Town, I did not earn any money. When I went to Australia again in March to April or beginning of May, I did not make any money because I wasn't allowed to work on a tourist visa in Australia, and same for Cape Town. So that was really just me investing in myself, not just in my work, in my portfolio, but also in my life and where I was heading. And that's why I probably did not really see it as sacrifices, because the feelings and experiences I made it all so worth it, and were like so much bigger than any amount of money I could have made in the time could have been. Like, it just was so worth it. So 10 months of me making everything possible and being in that long distance relationship, already fearing the moment of having to say my final goodbye to my family and loved ones. That did put a lot of pressure on me, I'm not gonna lie. I had so many moments at the time where I felt like so overwhelmed by it all, especially because again, I wasn't as conscious and aware of everything in my internal world as I am today, and I did not really understand how our emotions basically are just, you know, serving as information for us to then work with it. I just felt like overwhelmed by everything I was experiencing and feeling and thinking, especially so many fears coming up, and me feeling bombarded by it all, not knowing how to deal with it. It was a lot. The relationship to my Aussie boyfriend at the time experienced moments of where the long distance really did not work out as we wanted it to. A bit of jealousy from his side and just a lot of reassurance he needed that I wasn't able to give him. I completely understand his side too now, but I was so in my world and like really just focused on making it all happen, and at the same time wanting to really soak up every single moment I still had with my family, that I did not have the capacity to also be fully there for him. He could sense that and he felt insecure about it, and today I understand, you know, all of that was going on because I understand the psychological side of everything, and I understand everyone's perception and point of view, which can be a curse and a blessing at once. But back then I didn't, and I just felt like, oh, he was pushing me and like even, you know, putting more pressure on me, and I wasn't able to give him what he needed and deserved, clearly. But yeah, was just doing my thing, and I was spending so much time with a new friend circle that I had made. My best friend at the time and a couple of guys started to hang out quite a lot, actually. And there was this one guy that had always just been the younger brother of someone I went to school with. We had the funnest time, and it was just all, again, so much ease and presence and being in the now and fully enjoying life. And I basically fell for that guy. So while my relationship to my Aussie boyfriend was kind of like wobbling a lot, was I developing feelings for this other guy, yet not taking them seriously at all, because I was in a relationship, I had plans, and my plans were so not aligned with whatever this could be with the German guy. So I was aware of those feelings, but I didn't take them seriously, and I was like, no, we don't even go there. But it only got more, and I already knew, even only having those feelings says everything about my current relationship, and that it's basically over. over because I know me. And I have a lot of love, but if I have feelings for someone else while being in a relationship with a different guy, then no, I don't love that other guy then. That was obvious to me. But again, like there was already so much happening in my head that I didn't really want to think about it too much and just pushed it aside and went to Australia anyway. 1st of October 2018, I left Germany for good. At least that's what I thought. I hopped into the plane. I was devastated. I was like, I just had the most amazing time, like the best summer in Germany ever. What am I doing? Now I'm leaving for Australia. I don't even want to be there right now. I don't even want to go. Having to start from scratch again with this big fat question mark, not knowing what's gonna happen next, already kind of knowing that this relationship that I was still in with my Aussie ex was over, and basically knowing what was gonna expect me once I'm there. It was all so much. But because I had those plans and I had basically for 10 months I had given it my all, so of course I was gonna go, and I did. I went to Australia, and a couple of days after I landed, not only was it my birthday, but did my boyfriend at the time and I break up on my birthday, because why not? What was I gonna do? Like, I had developed feelings for someone else. He didn't even know that at the time, you know, and I already felt like guilty and shitty about it enough, so I kind of felt like, yeah, I probably deserved this, even though it was on my birthday and like far away from my loved ones on the other end of the world. But I just remember having to find a new apartment because, of course, when I first moved, I moved in with my Aussie ex-boyfriend just for everything to be easier, and then from there I would have like found myself something on my own. But now I had to move out much sooner than planned and expected, and ended up at an Airbnb in Coogee, which is not far from Bondi. I was so devastated, and I remember talking to my mom on the phone one night and just telling her everything and being like, so what am I doing? Like, I was just like, I was crying my eyes out, and I was trying to hold it all together and like make it all work, but nothing was working. I was there for the very first time, like really on my own, you know. I wasn't just there for a visit. I wasn't just there as an au pair or something where I had people around me all the time who would give me a sense of safety and security. I was really on my own, and I felt like so it was a lot. And my mom said to me, Farina, you are already holding onto the very last stair step. What are you doing? Just let go for you to see that there is ground right under you. Like, you cannot fall. You're safe. Just let go. But I was literally grabbing onto the last tiny straw I had. Cannot give up on my control. I have to make all of this happen, even though everything was kind of like falling apart. And when she said that, in that moment, I was able to finally let go and just let myself fall into this big fat unknown that I was so scared of, only to realize that nothing happened, that I was safe, that I was still there and alive. And guess what? While all those days before, leading up to this moment, we're filled with so much pressure and force, trying to find a new apartment and feeling like everything was falling apart. The next day, after 2 weeks of non-stop rain in Sydney, the sun was shining. I went for a walk. I received an email that I had 2 inspections that day, and I already knew the very first I went to was it. That was my apartment. I knew that is where I wanted to live. And guess what? I got it. That was the first time that I realized it is when we let go, when we stop being attached to any outcome on the outside and really just trust life and trust God and let things happen and flow and fully surrender. That is when it all comes. Because before, we are in resistance and we are so closed off and nothing can come to us, even though it's already there, it's already waiting, you know, to come into our world. But we're so like guarded and like, oh, so nothing can come in because we're kind of like blocking the door. Anyway, that other guy then actually wanted to come visit me because we missed each other a lot and we wanted to see if this could be a thing or not. I remember being on the phone with a friend of mine and telling her like, this is bullshit, like why would we do this? I just moved to Australia, I want to stay here. He lives in Germany, he has a job there, he can't just come here and live here with me. What would we even do here? It's just illogical. We should not do this. She said to me, Farina, I get it, but that's your mind. What is it that your heart wants though? And I said, I want to see him. I want him to come. And she said, and have we ever not listen to our heart. And that is when I reached out to him again and we planned and organized for him to come. He came for 3 weeks. We had the time of our lives. We completely fell for each other. Life truly is what happens to you while you are busy making plans, because there I was on the other side of the world with a German guy I had known for forever, coming from my hometown, having the time of our lives, completely in love with one another, not knowing what to do and where to go from there, but just feeling so aligned and like, yes, this feels good, this feels right. And I realized that I was never fully in that other relationship because it was just what my mind needed and wanted, but not my heart. It looked picture perfect on the outside and was so aligned with my plans, wanting to move and live in Australia, but not with what my heart knew to be right and true for me. Now I was with the German guy, and I remember sitting at the beach one night watching the sunset and thinking, what TF am I doing here? How can I now finally be here after 7 years of having this dream, having made all those sacrifices for it to finally come to life and be my reality, only to sit here now and not be happy? How can I not be happy? I would only find out much later. And I made a very, very, very big decision that would change my entire life once again, forever. And if you want to know what that decision was and what happened next, stay tuned for part 4 of this mini series, where it's all gonna be about. I cannot tell you actually because I don't want to spoil it for you. But it was a very big decision. Let's just leave it there. Thank you so much for watching today. Again, feel free to send this video, this mini series, to someone you think has to hear it, has to see it, to be reminded of their own power, their dreams, what's possible, and that living your dreams isn't just one straight line, but is ups and downs and is filled with fear and you being high on life sometimes, but also feeling so low and scared of your own courage, basically. All of that is your life, and all of that is you living your dreams. Because of course, when you go and actualize your true self, a lot of stuff has to come up for it to come out and make space for everything you asked for. And yeah, I'm gonna share more of that and what that meant for me and my journey in the next videos to come. Thank you so much for leaving a like, a comment, and or subscribing to this channel. If you want, feel free to join the tribe by also following me on Instagram, and I appreciate you a lot. See you soon, your sparkly fairy.